And now, new information behind the viral video that's making national headlines. A Texas police officer is on leave after the footage shows him pushing a teen girl to the ground. And this all happened outside a pool party. Well, then he pulls his gun.
ABC's John Ehrlichman has more on the outrage.
These are the actions that led to the suspension of police officer Eric Casebolt in McKinney, Texas. This video captures him using profanity and throwing a 15-year-old girl to the ground.
He told me to keep walking, and I kept walking, and then I'm guessing he thought we were saying rude stuff to him, and he grabbed me, and he like twisted my arm on the back of my back, and he shoved me in the grass, and he started pulling the back of my braids.
Another young girl, Tatiana Rose.
Okay. So this actually came up for me today. It's kind of like a part 2 of yesterday's conversation, but I'm not going to try to pretend like I know names of things because I don't pay attention to things that are outside of this group. It's like really, really specific at this point. It's culture and society, but just specifically for Black women. It's actually not that intersectional. Like the more and more I like talk about it, I just realize actually I don't cover anything else. So I'm not sure, but it does look like something is happening in the Black male conservative community where one of them was harmed by police officers. If you care to hear a take on that, I will say that that is something that happened, but it is not something that we cover here. It is not something that I care about. But what I am saying is that like in 2015, for me, this was the first time I've ever seen anything that was like so shocking. It caused something like a feeling of anger and of like resentment that this was like outside of a textbook. And then also I saw all my peers react to it in this way that was like, okay, specifically in 2015, I gotta say, like, I didn't really feel like I had any connection to like continental Africa then. Like, definitely not as much as I have like now, right? But also it was very weird because I saw all of this, like, I started to hear men speak about like, I'm specifically talking about, I heard Black men for the first time actually have to have a real conversation about like safety. And it was like talking about safety of, you know, their mothers and their sisters. And I never heard that conversation happen as explicitly as it happened after this incident. But anyway, so I think that it is, you know, timely to basically have this conversation, but I wish I would have had this conversation earlier. And specifically because I have like the ability to like snip the video so we can just watch this playback. But this happened a while ago, but I feel like the feeling that I'm conveying right now has been like the same sentiment and feeling that I've held on to since then. That's 10 years ago. So to hold on to this amount of like no fucks given, that is where I am now, but it's also where I've been for the last 10 years. So no progress has been made. Like no additional steps toward like contentment, resolution, resolve, reparatory efforts, nothing. It's just this amount of almost like despise. Like I'm sorry, but that's pathetic. Like, and I think that like, I said this for a while, but it's not just a turning point. It's like a turning off, right? Okay, anyway. So this is an essay that I wrote so we can read it together. No more care to give. There is an expectation in this country that Black women, especially Black girls, will be the reservoirs for endless empathy, that we will extend our care to every tragedy, every child, every headline, even when we ourselves are still bleeding. But what does it mean to continue offering care in a country that has never returned the favor? What does it mean to mourn for those who will never mourn us? When I hear of the young deaths of white girls, especially those followed by media parades, community outrage, and political action, I don't feel what I'm told I should. I don't feel the lump in my throat that comes from seeing your humanity reflected. I feel numb. And more than that, I feel a silent rage because I know that had those children been Black, especially a Black girl, her story would have traveled. It would not have traveled. Her name would not have trended, and no justice would be pursued. I think about Dajerria Becton, a 15-year-old in a bikini, slammed to the ground by a grown white man, pinned like an animal, her face contorted in pain while adults stood by. The video went viral. People gasped and then nothing. The officer resigned and vanished into the blue wall of silence. A grand jury refused to indict, and a child who should have been protected was instead packaged into yet another example of America's refusal to see Black girls as human beings. And we're asked to move on, to understand the complexities of policing, to avoid divisiveness, to pray for healing in communities that have never cared about our survival. But what healing exists for those who are constantly expected to absorb harm without reciprocation? What balm is offered to a Black girl whose public humiliation is met with silence? Every time a white girl dies, especially in the kind of tragedies that are framed as symbols of innocence lost, this country halts. Politicians speak. Laws are proposed. Candlelight vigils light up the suburbs, and it becomes painfully clear. Whiteness is the unit of measurement for innocence, for victimhood, for justice. And Black girls are simply expected to endure, expected to survive the body slams, the expulsions, the rapes, the foster care pipelines, the erasures with a quiet dignity that no one else has ever been forced to perfect. I have no care left to give because there was none reserved for us. When Black girls go missing, there are no Amber Alerts, no media frenzies, no community-wide man-halts. Our pain is not considered universal. It is considered disruptive. Our deaths are not tragedies. They are learning moments for police departments. They are statistics. They are hashtags that trend for an hour and they disappear. Even when we survive, our girlhood is forfeited. We are called fast at 10 years old. We are disciplined harsher in schools. We are sexualized, criminalized, and pathologized even before we understand the language of oppression. And yet, we're still expected to march in every protest, uplift every cause, lend our voices to every injustice. Well, I no longer believe in shared grief. Not because I don't understand suffering, but because I know mine is never mutual. I've seen how America cries when its white daughters are harmed. I've also seen how it chuckles, scrolls past, or outright blames Black girls when they are brutalized, disappeared, or murdered. So no, I don't have tears left for other people's daughter when no one has ever cried for ours. If this country cared about Black girls, Dajerria Becton's name would have lived in infamy. She would be as recognizable as any white victim used to symbolize the loss of innocence in America, and instead, she is a footnote, an uncomfortable memory that white America chooses not to revisit. But we remember. We always remember. That is why I created this community, and I just also want to come back. This is an international community. Half of the audience are literal continental Africans, and the others are Black Americans. This is a space for us. I'm sorry. Fuck that story, and fuck those little kids. I don't care. I'm sorry. I don't have it. Like, not a tear, not a compassion token, not even a hashtag. Stop sharing the story. Honestly, I tried to change the algorithm to remove it from my timeline, but it won't even go away. It's everywhere. Okay, I'll keep going. So some will call this essay cold, unfeeling, cruel. But what is cruelty if not slamming a child to the ground and walking away without consequence? What is unfeeling if not a justice system that turns its back on a child because she's Black? I refuse to perform empathy for a nation that has done nothing to earn it. I don't want apologies. I don't want reparation, not the monetary, not spiritual. I want the acknowledgement of psychic scars Black girls carry from being systematically unloved. I want public grief. Well, no, not really. But I do think re-education in the ways in which the country has left us to rot in the shadows. But until that day comes, which I'm pretty sure it won't, my care is not available for purchase. My heart is not a national resource to be mined during white tragedy, and my empathy is not unconditional. It has been conditioned by the weight of centuries. It is rationed now out of necessity because I've watched too many Black girls brutalized with no consequence, and I've seen too many mothers bury daughters without headlines, and I've heard too many names whispered instead of shouted. And I won't pretend this imbalance doesn't matter. So no, I don't care, and I shouldn't have to, and you shouldn't have to either. This is not like I wish didn't even like have to make this. Like I wish this wasn't like necessary. It just keeps coming on the timeline. And it like that's the point that's weird, and that's the reason I feel like I have to say something. Because like you can't make me care. Like this is not a time for us all to like come together and give a shit. This isn't the time. The time was never, and the time will be never. Like never. Whatever.